I believe it is vitally important that the special counsel be allowed to complete his investigation. If confirmed, I will not permit partisan politics, personal interests, or any other improper consideration to interfere with this or any other investigation. I don't believe Mr. Mueller would be involved in a witch hunt. I also believe it is very important that the public and Congress be informed of the results of the special counsel's work. The president wanted to know, he said, oh, you know Bob Mueller. How well do you know Bob Mueller? And I told him how well I knew Bob Mueller and how, the Barrs and Muellers were good friends and would be good friends when this is all over.
Trump AG nominee Bill Barr up on Capitol Hill. Really, Democrats didn't lay a glove on him today. He pretty much handled it. Very compelling and effective testimony, according to experts who looked at this all day long. The White House weighing in, despite some of the things he said that were not what the president really talks about. Sarah Sanders saying he's a very honorable man doing what he believes, and the president respects that. The president thinks he will be a great attorney general. With that, let's bring in our panel, former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer, Mara Liasson, national political correspondent of National Public Radio, and Tom Bevan, Real Clear Politics co-founder and president. I apologize for my voice. My mom just texted to say I need to have tea. I'm trying. I feel fine. But Mara, your thoughts on Barr's testimony today and really how he did?
I thought he did great. I thought he said a lot of things that should be reassuring to Democrats. No, he didn't say he'd recuse himself, but he said all those things you just played. Doesn't think Mueller's on a witch hunt. Thinks the report should be made public. He thinks the public in Congress should be informed. All those things are what Democrats wanted to hear. And I don't know, the White House is still saying they're happy and thrilled and thinks he'll be a great attorney general. But I don't know if those were the things that Donald Trump wanted to hear.
A lot of the focus, Ari, is on this memo that he wrote about obstruction of justice. And here's the AG nominee talking about that.
One theory in particular that appeared to be under consideration under a specific statute concerned me because I thought it would involve stretching the statute beyond what was intended. And my memo is very clear. That is the concern that was driving me. The impact, not the particular case, but its impact of a rule over time. I
think he answered it 25 times in that hearing.
Yeah, because people were looking for the reason they could derail his nomination and they couldn't find it, so they kept looking for it. He gave a very good legal answer. I think there's a broader answer on that question, and that is people should be able to opine, give their opinions. But one of the beautiful things about our government is once you actually sit in those seats of responsibility, you recognize it's no longer opining. It's you act on the basis of precedent, law, and that is what's going to guide him. Look, I think he had a perfect day-to-day in style and in substance. To me, the most important thing he said today, he talked about Bob Mueller's integrity, and then he talked about President Trump saying there is no collusion. And then he said, quote, the country needs a credible resolution of these issues. Amen. It is exactly what we need. We need to get beyond the Mueller report and to do so with credibility. He needs to become Attorney General without Mueller hanging underneath him. And I think the nation waits for that report, and credibility is the key.
Tom.
Yeah, he did say a lot of things. He said everything that Democrats wanted him to say. I think they should have been reassured by everything he said. I think on the Republican side, I thought people thought he was really good on the border, on immigration. But to your point, and the point that was made earlier, I think if you were a Trump supporter or a critic of the way of the Mueller investigation or the way this thing has been handled in the Department of Justice or the FBI, he said some things that I think people would recognize as red flags, that he and Mueller are good friends, had a high opinion of Rod Rosenstein, that this was not a witch hunt. And on down the line, that Sessions was right to recuse himself.
The one thing he did say to Lindsey Graham is that he found the Strzok page text horrifying, and he would look into it.
Correct, and he promised Lindsey Graham that he would look into abuses in the department, and that's something that I think Republicans, Trump supporters, want to see happen. And to the extent that he's able to do both of those things, then I think he will make a good attorney general. In terms of the other compelling thing is he did say he's 68. He doesn't need this job. He's doing it for the good of the country. He's doing it because he wants to bring this thing to a credible resolution. That is what the country needs. But again, he wasn't necessarily singing from the same sheet of music as a lot of Trump supporters.
You think he's only weeks away from his first tweet?
Could be. You never know when it's going to come. The nicknames will come.
Here is Senator Feinstein asking him about possibly firing Mueller.
If the president orders the Attorney General to halt a criminal investigation for personal reasons. Would that be prohibited under your theory?
I think it would be a breach of the President's duties to faithfully execute the law. It would be an abuse of power. Under the regulations, Bob Mueller could only be terminated for good cause, and frankly, it's unimaginable to me that Bob would ever do anything that gave rise to good cause.
A number of Democrats tried to trip him up on a number of different things. There were 3 potential presidential contenders on that dais: Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, and Amy Klobuchar. All of them had moments, as they did in the Kavanaugh hearing. Is there one Democrat on that committee who is going to vote for Bill Barr?
Well, certainly not the ones you mentioned. They're all running for president, maybe. No, I think he's not going to get very many Democratic votes, if any.
In the meantime, the shutdown continues. The president tried to have Democrats at the White House today. Nobody showed up. Today, the Coast Guard missed a paycheck for the first time. Ari, where are we?
We're where a word that was an honorable word needs to be a word that's honorable once more, and that word is compromise. You cannot have an answer to a governmental problem where the Senate wants to pass some $6 billion in funding for a wall, the House wants to pass some $0 billion in funding for a wall, and the answer not be around 3. It is eternally the answer in this town for the House and the Senate to compromise. And when one party says the answer is 0, 0, 0, and their only answer is 0, we have a breakdown. I'm certain the Senate will go below 6. I'm not certain the House will ever go above 0.
Well,
that is that's the problem with compromise. If you're not going to meet the other body halfway, the problem is you, and the problem is the House, because they will not compromise.
They were at 1.3.
They were at
1.3.
They were at 1.3. This whole thing has just mind-boggled me, because nobody is looking for the win-win solution where both sides can get what they want. And guess what? Both sides do want border security. They define it differently. That's how compromises are made.
As Tom mentioned, Bill Barr said, "I feel it's critical for border security to have a barrier at the border." And he made that clear today.
People are in favor of border security. People also don't want the government shut down. Polling right now shows that people are holding Trump responsible. But I think Democrats are starting to run the risk of intransigence, not even showing up to bargain at all, and even arrogance, being on junkets in Puerto Rico while the government is shut down. That's not a good look for Democrats, and that may end up hurting them in the long run if this continues to go on. Trump still has a national emergency in his back pocket. He may use it if it gets to the point where he has no other options, because he just can't capitulate.
Attorney General nominee William Barr is trying to walk the line between his allegiance to his prospective boss and independence from him. Barr began his confirmation hearing today before the Senate Judiciary Committee, expressing support for the special counsel Russia probe and disagreeing with the president about it being a witch hunt. And he steered his way through, at times, tough questioning like he had been there before. Because he has. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Harrods was at today's session, reports live from Capitol Hill and the hearing room. Good evening, Catherine.
Thank you, Brett, and good evening. William Barr testified that he has known Robert Mueller for 3 decades and Mueller would not be involved in a witch hunt. Barr said the recusal of Attorney General Jeff Sessions was the right thing, and he committed to following the law and not bending to politics.
I will not be bullied into doing anything I think is wrong by anybody, whether it be editorial boards or Congress or the president.
From the outset, William Barr, the president's nominee to lead the Justice Department, said he will protect the special counsel investigation.
The country needs a credible resolution to these issues.
Barr said he saw no chance the probe will be shut down for cause, and he pledged to make the final Mueller report as public as possible.
I am going to try to get the information out there consistent with these regulations.
Are there any circumstances that would cause you to terminate the investigation?
Bob Mueller could only be terminated for good cause, and frankly, it's unimaginable to me that Bob would ever do anything that gave rise to good cause.
Other Democrats pressed Barr in a memo he wrote last year to Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein that questioned whether the special counsel could bring an obstruction of justice case against the president for firing FBI Director James Comey.
If the president orders the Attorney General to halt a criminal investigation for personal reasons. Would that be prohibited under your theory?
I think it would be a breach of the president's duties to faithfully execute the law. It would be an abuse of power.
Barr also revealed that the president reached out to him about possibly joining his legal team in June 2017, where the limited conversation also turned to the special counsel.
He was interested in that, wanted to know, what I thought about, Mueller's integrity, and I said, Bob is a straight shooter.
Barr served as Attorney General for Bush 41, and at 68, Barr suggested he was a strong candidate because he didn't need the job.
I'm in a position in life where I can do the right thing and not really care about the consequences.
On reports, the FBI opened an investigation into whether the president was directed by Russia to fire Comey in May 2017. Barr said the Bureau appeared to operate largely unchecked.
Are there rules about how you can do counterintelligence investigations?
I believe there are, Mr. Chairman.
So if you want to open up one against the president, are there any checks and balances?
Not outside the FBI.
On political bias at the FBI during the 2016 election, Barr called text messages between former agent Peter Strzok and former lawyer Lisa Page inappropriate.
I was shocked when I saw them.
Please get to the bottom of it. We're relying upon you to clean this place up.
And Barr pledged to investigate whether there was surveillance abuse during the 2016 campaign when a warrant was obtained and renewed multiple times using the anti-Trump dossier for Trump campaign aide Brett.
Hearing continues now. Captain, thank you.